Find your niche.
Well, hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Christopher Dillard here with the Niche Finder. Listen, I cannot believe it, but we are already on episode number 2 that will air right now. I cannot believe it. It already seems like we've been doing this at least a year, but we have not. And so thank you so much again for all of our listeners and watchers out there that have come to love the Niche Finder. We appreciate you so much. Okay, not going to talk much here. We're going to get right into it with the gentleman we're interviewing right now. He was on radio every day during the week. He had a very popular lunch hour, and it was called Lunch with Lee at a local radio station right here in Greenville, South Carolina. He's from Darlington, as I stated earlier. He started his radio career in 1964. He was at a top 40 radio station here in the area years ago, and he continued in radio. And once you hear this voice, you will know exactly who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the great, the famous, the legend, Lee Alexander. And here he is in his own words. Watch this. Christopher Dillard here with the Niche Finder. I tell you, this is quite an honor and a privilege for me to be in a room with such one who I have admired for many, many months now, I'll say. Even before I really knew you, I would listen to you on radio, and I'm like, how in the world is it that God would give a gentleman a voice like that for radio?
Oh, you're too kind.
Listen, I watched you come into the radio station every day whenever I could catch you, and you always had your bag in hand.
Mm-hmm.
You always had a smile on your face, and it was just like, this is the place that you were supposed to be, and you were always your happiest. And I said, you know what? That's the kind of life I want. That's what I want, to be able to enjoy my life, enjoy what I do, and just love it and bring such light and joy to everyone else. And I thought that's what you did for me.
Thank you. Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, today we are talking to the great Lee Alexander that has been in radio for probably longer than some people have been alive.
I wish so. I started way back when.
You started way back when. And Lee, that's what we're going to talk about today. We are going to talk about a life of enjoyment, a person who found what it is they were supposed to do in life. I look at you, Lee, and I think you were the blessed one. You were the lucky one because you found your thing. And ladies and gentlemen, let me just tell you a little bit about Lee.
Okay.
Lee is from Darlington. He graduated from St. John's High School. His interest in radio began as a freshman in high school. He had jobs at WLOS in Florence. I think that was his first radio job. He worked there until 1968. He served on active duty in the U.S. Navy for 2 years. He moved to Greenville, South Carolina in 1970 and began to work at WQOK, a top 40 radio station. He worked there until 1980. Other stations that he worked at includes WFBC, WSPA, and then at the WRTH, where he retired as of last year, September of last year. He enrolled in Furman University. You went to Furman University in 1979 and took classes where he began to work on his career. But you graduated with a BA in sociology with a minor in business. And it took you a few years to finish, but you did finish. I want to know, how was it being at Furman University? Let's start there.
I always wanted to go to college.
Yeah.
After I graduated from high school, all I could think about was getting into radio.
Oh.
So that's what I did. I got my job in Florence.
And
concentrated on that. And then I got a job offer to come to Greenville.
Wow.
More money.
Yeah.
Come to a top 40 station.
A top 40 station back then.
Wow. So that was a big deal.
That was a big deal.
And that was always in my mind, to
Yeah.
get a job at a top 40 radio station when I was a really young man.
Sure.
So I came to Greenville and got involved with WQOK. And then, but in the back of my mind, I wanted to finish college.
Sure.
So I worked a while, worked 9 years.
Oh, wow.
Before I decided to go to Furman,
Mm-hmm.
and I applied, and they said, okay, well, since you've been out of high school for a good while,
Yeah.
you're going to have to take some refresher courses
Mm.
and then come back and see us. So I went to Greenville Tech,
Sure.
took some refresher courses, then reapplied at Furman. They accepted me,
Wow.
and I told them I'm working full time,
Yeah.
so I can't go to class like a
Right.
normal student.
Sure.
So anyway, I started Furman, and they gave me classes on the weekend.
Mhm.
I took classes at night. Once in a while, I could take one of the day classes,
Yeah.
but mostly at night and weekends.
Yeah.
So it took me 5 years
Wow.
on this kind of schedule, working full time to get my degree.
Wow.
But Christopher, that is something nobody can ever take away from you. And it just does something to you inside to know that
Absolutely.
you worked a hard time
Sure.
to get your college education. And that's what I wanted to do. And I
Wow.
did it at Furman. And I'm a big Furman fan. And all I can say is go Dens.
Go Dens. Go Paladins, but go Dens.
Yeah.
Lee, that's absolutely. What would you say? And I don't know how you'll answer this. What was most important? Was it finishing college, or was it working in radio? And how would you? Which was most important to you? Maybe then, was it finishing school, or was it the radio part of it, or was it both?
It was both. I had two goals in my life.
Mm-hmm.
One was to do radio.
Yeah.
And one was to finish college. And so I accomplished both of those.
Wow.
And putting them on probably an equal scale.
Yeah.
Because I love to do both.
Okay.
I love the people I met at Furman,
Mm.
the experience, the educational experience I got there. It's a great school.
It is a great school.
And the classes are small. That's what I like about it. Because in high school, as you know, your classes were small.
Sure.
Because I went to a small school.
Okay.
High school. And at Furman, they were about the same size as my high school classes.
Oh, wow.
So I like that part of it.
Gotcha.
And so I'd rate them on about the equal scale.
Equal scale.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. So as we talked about, Lee, the station that you worked at, you end up retiring from there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is the big thing. Lee, was you always a person that loved to be at your job, loved to do what you did in radio. Everybody knows Lee Alexander. They know the afternoon thing. Yeah. They know the lunchtime with Lee.
Now that was a popular show.
Oh my goodness!
I got to tell you, that was one of my popular shows.
Wow.
That I've had over the years.
Yeah.
My listeners liked it. They liked the themes. I tried to have different themes every day.
Every day. Yeah.
And it just kind of caught on, and people liked it, and I got a lot of response.
You absolutely
did. Sure did.
Every time I would catch it, I'm like, oh my goodness, Lee is doing lunch. Let me listen in and see what's going on here. That was amazing. So what is retirement like for a broadcaster who did radio for so many years? And I know your interests are, you like working in the yard sometimes. I know your interests are reading. So what is it that you find most, I guess, relaxing now? Or what is it that really gets your day? I don't know. How do you spend your days now as a retired person?
Low key.
Low key. No talking, no microphone, none of that.
Well, I've got a microphone here, as you can see
on your desk,
my computer. I am, and I'll tell you this: I'm considering doing a very short little stint on internet radio.
Oh wow!
I have a friend that has an internet radio station.
Okay.
As a hobby.
Wow.
And he asked me, he said, Lee, would you like to come on and maybe do a couple hours a day on the internet station?
How amazing is that?
I tell you, and I said, oh my goodness, John, that would really give me something to do, because I don't have much to do now that I'm retired.
Yeah.
And retirement to a lot of people is great.
Yeah.
But in my book, it's not that good.
It's not that great.
But that's just me.
Yeah.
Because I love my job so much.
Yeah.
That I knew retirement was going to come.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect it to be quite like it is. That's what I'm considering doing.
That would be great, Lee. You worked at Earth FM was the station, the last station that you worked at, and you were there how many years? At
10 years.
At 10 years at
10
Earth
years.
FM.
I joined Earth right after it was started.
Yeah.
In 2013, March 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked until September last year. So it was 10 years.
10 years.
Got 10 good years out of
Wow.
this station that started here in the upstate.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm very blessed.
Sure,
to
you're
have worked
blessed.
there.
I want to ask you before we move on. I want to ask you who was the most probably famous person in your book that you met in your radio days. Do you remember who was the most probably famous person you ever met? Because I know you met some people, some much famous people in your career, and I guarantee you, there's some famous people that know who Lee Alexander is. So, who would you say are some of the most famous that you met?
Well, I talked about that when we had our little going away party
Yeah,
at Earth FM. We all did. Bill Love had
yeah, Bill.
Heidi. Anyway, I thought I was going to sneak out of there on my last day without saying much.
They got you, didn't
They got me.
They got you.
Everybody came in, and if you watched it,
I
Craig was
did.
in there, and
Yeah,
the programming staff and the people that worked there, they were
Sure.
all in there. We were sharing stories.
I heard a little bit
And
of it. Yeah.
so I think I mentioned this. I think Rod Stewart is the most famous,
Rod Stewart. Wow.
famous person I've ever met.
Oh my goodness.
I've been a fan of his for a long, long time.
Mhm.
He started in 1970, I think,
Wow.
with his first hit called Maggie May. And he did a concert in Greenville
Hmm.
way back. I
Yeah.
don't remember the year now, but I was able to go backstage and meet him.
Wow.
And I said, I can't believe this. I'm meeting the legendary Rod Stewart. And I did meet him.
That's amazing.
And I met the Carpenters. I met Captain and Tennille. I met the
Oh, my
Partridge
goodness.
Family. I met the Osmonds when they were at their peak.
Donnie and Marie.
Donnie,
Oh my goodness.
when Donnie was a teen idol.
Oh my
They
goodness,
were in
man.
Greenville, and
Everybody loved the
everybody
Osmond.
loved them.
Everybody
So
loved the
I've
Osmonds.
met some famous entertainers
That's
that
amazing.
I've really cherished the memories for that.
So I know you said Rod Stewart is your favorite. So who probably most, and I think I heard you talk a little bit about this, who probably was the most, I guess, music-wise that you loved playing on your show? Who was it? Any certain artist you love most of all playing on your show?
Billy Joel,
Billy Joel.
Elton John,
Oh wow.
Phil Collins.
Oh wow.
Love Phil Collins.
Yeah.
There's so many great songs. The decades have changed so much.
Sure.
I started playing 60s, which was a great decade.
Yeah.
So I know all about that.
Yeah.
70s, I love the Eagles,
Oh yeah.
and the artists in that decade.
Yeah.
The 80s, that was a great decade.
Sure. Absolutely.
But when you get into the 90s, it kind of changed
it
a whole
changed.
lot.
It did.
So I love the 80s, love 70s and 60s.
Lee,
Those were my three favorite decades.
do you remember back in the 70s and 80s, and I don't know if it ever got to the 90s, but when we had to queue up a record, we actually had to queue it up on the
Turntable.
turntable.
Sure
I
did.
started in radio
Mhm.
when we had to queue that turntable up. It would terrify me to death. I don't even know how I done
Oh
it.
yeah, we had to
We had to queue it up.
take the records out of the
Yeah.
sleeve and put it on the turntable, or if it was a 45, we'd have a sleeve for that.
Yeah.
Put it right in the middle and put that needle on there.
And had it
And
had
put it on cue and then turn it around.
turn
till
it
you hear
around.
it start and turn it back about a half a turn.
Oh my goodness.
So when you hit that start button,
How in
song
the
would
world
come
did
on.
we do
How
that?
did we do
How
that?
did we do that?
And
How did
I
we?
don't know how we did that, all that, because that was, you talk about an exhausting shift.
Absolutely.
When you did a show like that for 4 or 5 hours,
You were
going back
exhausted.
and forth like this,
That's right.
and putting in carts for commercials and
That's
stuff,
right. Queuing up your carts, making sure
Mhm.
your carts are ready to go at your commercial, at your
you-
break.
you knew that you had worked an
Yeah,
air shift when you
Absolutely.
did
People have no
that. They
idea.
have no idea.
They have no idea.
Today, computers.
Now it's all on. It's on a button. You just hit a button.
That's right.
We have the buttons right in front of us,
Mhm.
but we really had to work back
the
then.
buttons and a screen, computer screen,
And a computer screen.
and that's all we had.
Oh my
And
goodness.
that's what they have today. And so there's not much to it, doing
Sure.
the mechanics
Sure.
like we used to do it.
They got it so easy now.
Mhm.
They have no idea. So Lee, when I started this podcast, I wanted to talk to people who really found their thing, found what they were really, I'd say, called to do.
Mhm.
And you certainly found yours. It's, when you look up the word niche, I actually had to look up the word. I'm like, what is that? And I actually
Mhm.
looked it up, and it is a comfortable or suitable position in life. It's a vocation.
Mhm.
It's a calling. Would you say that you found yours?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So this is the question, Lee. How would you help someone? What would you say to someone, a young person maybe, or anybody, an older person, that would say that, I've been working all my life and I don't feel like I have found what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't feel like I found what I'm called to do. What would you say to that person?
Just determination to
Hmm.
keep looking, keep
Yeah,
talking to people. If most people and most young people have at least one or two things
sure.
in their mind that they would like to do. Um, so you've got to have the drive and determination to
Yeah.
find it.
Find it.
Find
Yeah.
it any way you can.
Yeah.
Reading in books,
Oh, yeah.
whether it be the internet, television, talking to people, going to companies, just getting some information about what it's all about,
Sure.
and then follow that dream.
Yeah.
And I followed mine, and it worked out for me because I was only interested in one thing,
One thing.
and I found it very early in life.
Wow.
Some people don't find it till later on in life,
Sure. Sure.
but that's okay. Eventually, they'll find what they like to do and what they want to do and get a job in that field.
Most people, I think they have it in them, whatever. It's got to be some interest in
And
something already in there.
already in there.
And
It's
I
got to
think
be
that
right
person,
here.
it's got to be, it's right here.
Mhm.
People sometimes, I heard a minister say that it's already in you. If you will find out what's already in you, that's probably that thing that you're supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
I don't know. Some people, maybe they just want to ignore it or whatever. They just feel comfortable in what they're doing. But you got to really pull that thing out that you know that you're called to
You
do
sure do.
and jump into it. I jumped into this because the kind of life kind of pushed me to it, so to speak. What I was doing ended,
Mhm.
and I think with me, I call God. I think God knew that I would never leave a job, so to speak. I had to, I guess, be made to leave to push
Mhm.
me into what I'm called to do. And I think this is what I'm called to do: is interview people that would help others find their life
Well, you
calling.
certainly have found your niche
Oh, well, I
because you're
appreciate it.
wonderful
Thank
and
you.
you're so easy to talk to.
Thank you so much, Lee.
And we've been friends for what, 6 months
Oh my
now,
gosh,
but I
yeah.
feel like I've known you for
I started talking
years.
to you like I knew you for years. For the first time, I started talking to Lee, and everybody was like, "Why you always talking to Lee?" I'm like, "Well, he's easy to talk to." But Lee, I
Well,
appreciate you
thank you.
so much,
I like to make people comfortable, try to,
and you do,
when I talk to them.
and it comes through on radio. I mean, you brought such comfort to the listeners in our area, and I'm pretty sure that's why people loved you so much, and
Thank you. I hope so.
and even those that worked around you, those at the radio station, and certainly your listening audience. People love to listen to Lee, and we just appreciate you. Thank you for what you've done to our area as far as radio and media,
Well,
and thank you.
I've really had a wonderful run here in the upstate with radio stations,
Yeah.
and I've seen so many changes
Oh
in
Lord.
the upstate, and I've met so many wonderful people
Yeah.
that have influenced me
Mm.
and kind of taught me a lot of things. So
Mentioning that, those that have taught you back in the day, you worked for a very famous radio person at
I
that
did.
time. What was his name?
His name was Monty Dupuy. And
Wow.
if you've been an upstate native, or
Sure.
if you've been living here a good while, you know who Monty Dupuy was.
You remember that now. You remember Money
And
Dupuy.
he was an absolute joy to know, to
Wow.
work with, and to interact at his radio station
Yeah.
where I worked.
Oh wow.
I worked for him.
He taught you the ins and outs. He taught you
Yeah,
everything.
yep.
That's
He
amazing.
taught me so much. He had
Mm.
that kind of magnetic personality
Yeah.
about him.
Yeah.
He had a TV show for kids on Channel 4
Oh
called
wow.
Monty's Rascals.
Oh, I can't remember. I didn't
Yeah.
remember that.
Uh, and then he did the weather for a long time. Did that morning show that was like number one in the market for
Oh my
years.
gosh. Yeah.
So Monty was a great influence on
He really was a
my life.
legend too, wasn't he?
He
He was
was
a
a
legend.
legend. Yeah,
Oh my
he
goodness.
really was.
Well, Lee, I tell you what, we're running to the end of our interview, but I tell you, this has been an absolute joy for me, and thank you so much. Thank you to your family for raising. I mean, your family just bringing up such a great man. And I know you told me some of your family dynamics growing up, and none of us had the ease, I guess, so to speak. A lot of us had challenges growing up. You mentioned your dad, Timmy. Your dad died when you was 9 years
Yes,
old.
he did, and I missed not having my dad
Yeah.
at other stages of my life, especially when I was a teenager.
Mm.
All my friends had dads and would go with them to different events, and
Yeah.
I had no dad, and
Yeah.
that was a sad time.
Yeah.
But I got through it
You got
somehow.
through
I don't know how, but that was a time that I had to work on it a lot
Sure.
to get where I wanted to be,
Mm-hmm.
and because he was in the cotton business
Mm.
and did a job that I really, and I told you earlier that I didn't even know
What it
how
was.
to describe
So
it.
he was a cotton
And
buyer.
I knew just by being before he died, I knew that I said I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know.
Sure.
So radio was in my heart. It didn't come out
Mm.
until I was about 14,
Okay.
and then it really jumped out and said, "Hey, this is what I want to do."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I pursued my dream, and it was so good to me,
Wow.
Christopher.
That's amazing.
It was so good, and I
Absolutely.
wouldn't
amazing.
take anything for it.
Wow. Your mom. How about your mom? Did she?
She was a musical lady. She was an opera singer.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Your mom was an opera singer.
my mom was a very talented opera singer,
Wow.
and she not only sang here in South Carolina, but she went to New York.
Amazing.
She went to other places to sing.
Mm-hmm.
She was very talented.
Mm.
So maybe I got some of my love for music from her.
From her.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody else in the family was in radio.
Nobody.
This is an
I'm
original.
the only one to this day in the family that I have and the family members left that have ever been in radio.
Oh my goodness.
So I don't know where that fits in the equation, but somewhere it does.
Talking about finding your niche, I tell
Finding
you
your
what,
niche
you
right
have
here.
found it.
And you have found yours.
Oh my goodness, I am
Oh,
just
my
honored.
heavens.
Thank you so much.
What a pleasure.
What
it
a
is
pleasure to talk to you, Lee.
to talk to
Always such a legend,
Thank
and
you
I
for your
appreciate you.
friendship.
Appreciate just who you are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Every day, like I said, I would see you at the radio. It was a joy to talk to you. And I would say then, I say, you know what? One day I'm going to interview him. I'm going to interview
Well,
Lee Alexander
I'm so glad
on
you
my
did.
own show, and here we are.
Because I'm so honored that you wanted to interview me.
I am just
And
honored.
thank you for letting me share some of my life with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you've meant to our area. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Lee Alexander.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And that's a wrap.